True or false? Accidental discharges only happen to novice shooters. If you're scratching your head wondering what the answer is, let me give you a hint. Do car accidents only happen to novice drivers? Of course not. I've been driving for 30 years before I caused my first driving accident. Firearm accidents happen daily, and believe it or not due to ignorance as much as negligence. That's why the term negligent discharge is synonymous with accidental discharge. And what's the number one cause of negligence? Complacency. If you had a negligent discharge before or want to make sure you never have one, at least not due to your negligence, this video is for you. In December 2022, Brevard County, Florida Sheriff Deputy Andrew Lawson accidentally shot and killed his roommate and fellow deputy, Austin Walsh, while playing video games. They were both 23 years old with over 100 hours of firearm training at the academy. Andrew thought the firearm was unloaded. He thought. He broke every firearm safety rule he was taught at the academy. His friend is dead, his career is over, and his life is all but ruined. In August of 2021, in the town of Altamonte Springs, Florida, a toddler shot and killed his mom, Shamaya Lynn, while she was on a work Zoom call. The child's father, Viandre Avery, was arrested for manslaughter for leaving a loaded gun unsecured in the presence of a child. Florida has strict rules about that. But hey, who's going to check, right? Indiana 2025. A man named Mark Anthony Jones arrived at an emergency room with a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the groin area. He told police that his unholstered pistol, carried in his waistband, discharged as he tried to adjust it. You can probably spend a lifetime and still not finish reading about every negligent discharge case out there. I've gone through so many, including a few from people I know personally, and I can assure you that ignorance is rarely the reason. Negligence is. And on a good few occasions, stupidity was closely behind. So how do we make sure this doesn't happen to us? After all, most cases aren't intentional or caused by ill intent, are they?
No, never.
Number one, never, and I mean never, skip any of the 4 universal safety rules when handling a firearm. These rules are in no particular order. Always treat all firearms as if they're loaded. Always keep your finger off the trigger until you've identified your target and have made the decision to shoot it. Always point the firearm in a safe direction, and always be aware of what's between you and the target and what's beyond your target. In other words, what's the final destination of the bullet you fire? Now, if you have minor kids at home, there's a 5th rule. Store your firearm so it is not accessible to minor kids when you're not present. Make sure you know your state and local laws regarding gun ownership with minors at home. These rules are designed to keep you and everyone around you safe, especially in the event of a negligent discharge. It doesn't matter whether you're at home, at the shooting range, in the woods, alone, or with company. Think of the examples I shared earlier, and you'll quickly see how these rules were broken and why the consequences were not a surprise. Number 2, when gripping your firearm with your dominant shooting hand, pay attention to where your trigger finger rests. It should be resting on the slide well above the trigger guard. If you tend to rest it on the trigger guard, you raise the risk of an accidental discharge. Here is why. If you have to use your firearm in self-defense, you'll be in fight or flight mode and under a very elevated level of stress. You'll be jumpy and can easily get spooked or startled. If you are, your natural reaction will be to clench your fists. If your trigger finger is on the trigger guard, it will attempt to clench along with every other finger, and its only destination is the trigger. If it's properly placed on the slide as a well-ingrained habit, the slide surface will prevent your trigger finger from reaching the trigger, or at least certainly reduce the chances of it. So if you don't already do it, start placing your trigger finger on the slide well above the trigger guard. Number 3, never carry a firearm without a properly designed holster and a solid belt. A proper holster is made of durable material, covers the entire trigger guard, and locks the gun in place. The best safety you can ask for isn't a manual safety, trigger safety, or grip safety. It is your finger off the trigger. A good holster will make sure of that. A solid gun belt will make sure your firearm is right where you expect it to be when you reach for it. I've made a video on how to pick the right holster and belt, so be sure to watch it. I left a link in the description for it. Number 4. Speaking of holsters, negligent discharges rarely occur when we draw our firearm from the holster. They occur almost always when we go to reholster our firearm. We may have to be fast to put our firearm into action, but there is no rush to place it back in the holster, so take your time and use caution. If you carry concealed, clear your concealment garment fully. Make sure you can see right through your holster and make sure there is nothing that may get caught on your trigger as you insert it back into the holster. If you open carry, most likely in the 3 o'clock position, place the muzzle of your firearm at the opening of the holster and facing in a safe direction, and slowly ease the firearm into the holster. Either way, keep your finger well off the trigger area, watch your firearm all the way as you reholster it, and until you hear it click into place. I highly recommend that you push your hips forward if carrying appendix or sideways if carrying in the 3 o'clock position as you reholster so as to redirect a negligent discharge away from your body should one occur. Number 5. If you carry a rifle, aside from the 5 safety rules, make sure the firearm points straight up, preferably, or straight down. The safety is on and your trigger finger is resting along the frame and away from the trigger area. Number 6. Perform a safety inspection before, during, and after your training session, whether you dry fire at home or shooting at the range. That is where complacency reigns supreme and why negligent discharges occur more frequently than they have to. I don't care if you check your firearm before you packed it in your range bag. The first thing you do when you get to the range is unpack your firearm while pointing it downrange and perform a safety inspection. Again after every drill, and finally before you repack it in your range bag. Do so again when you get home and before you clean your firearm. A thorough safety inspection takes 5 to 6 seconds once you learn how and repeat it often. It's not much to ask for when you consider the consequences of neglecting it. Number 7. When handing the firearm to someone else, make sure you perform a thorough safety inspection, keep the slide locked to the rear, and hand the firearm with the grip side facing the recipient. When receiving a firearm, make sure it is handed over the same way and perform a safety inspection again. I understand that to some of you it may seem like overkill. Unfortunately, the graveyard is full of people who thought that way. Don't be one of them. Number 8. If you're a serious and responsible gun owner, you perform dry fire practice at least once or twice a week. Dry fire is about practicing and honing your skills without live ammunition present. If you dry fire with your home defense or carry gun, you likely have a magazine in your gun and perhaps even a round in the chamber. Extract the magazine, clear the chamber, and remove all live ammunition from the practice area. I don't mean put it on the table or in the drawer next to it. I mean remove it from the area altogether. Another room, a safe, or anywhere that eliminates any possibility that you'll grab it by mistake and a live round somehow finds its way into your firearm. If you want to take it a step further, place a barrel block inside your barrel while you dry fire. That guarantees no ammunition, dummy, or live will find its way into your firearm. Lastly, always face in the direction of an outer wall or other impenetrable surface and have a clear path between you and that surface. Granted, that is a precaution designed to prevent a projectile from heading to an undetermined location and potentially hurting someone else as a result of a negligent discharge. The very thing we are trying to avoid altogether. Unfortunately, accidents still happen, and being extra careful never hurts. Once you're done with your dry fire practice, you are done. No more trigger pulls, no more pointing, nothing. Especially if you're someone who keeps a loaded gun at home or carrying in public. Load your firearm again, make it ready, and place it back in your holster or safe, but do not, under any circumstances, attempt one last pose or trigger pull after that. It only takes one brain fart to negate all the good work you just did with an accidental discharge.
So, I regard that as a bona fide brain fart.
And number 9, don't let complacency creep in. When you do anything for a long time, it's human nature to multitask, skip steps, or assume that you got it covered and can do it with your eyes closed. Like speaking or scrolling on your phone while you drive or while you cross the street, or pretending to listen to your spouse while you watch Monday Night Football. You know full well you're asking for trouble when you do such things. but you've been doing it for so long you think you can handle it and get through it without consequence. Well, divorce lawyers are never short of business, and road accidents are a dime a dozen. Why? Complacency. So keep in mind that you are responsible for every bullet that leaves your firearm, whether intentional or not. It was an accident, and I really didn't mean for it to happen, will never get you off the hook, especially when firearms are involved. So unless your mind is right and clear, you can focus intently on handling your firearm and commit to safe, responsible, and complacency-free handling of your firearm, please leave it be until you can and live to fight another day. So, do you have any other suggestions to prevent negligent discharges? Please share them in the comment section. And if you enjoyed this video, please smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and watch our next video right here. Train hard, often, and safely, and I'll see you at the range.